Welcome to Software Leaders Uncensored with Steve Taplin. Welcome to Software Leaders Uncensored, where tech leaders drop the filters and just tell it like it is. I'm your host, Steve Taplin, serial tech entrepreneurs with 30 companies under my belt. Of those, I've failed at 20 of those and 10 scaled to success. And that roller coaster of a ride I talk about in my book, Fail Hard, Win Big. My biggest lessons I like to portray is that you need to use failure as a superpower. When you fail at something, you have two choices. You could mope, you could be down about it, or you can analyze what happened and how you learn from that moving forward. And of all of my failures and successes, and most people would agree, you don't learn the same from successes that you do from failures. And now I'm the CEO of Sonatify Technology. We are a nearshore software development company helping other firms scale their software. And today we have a fun guest, Benjamin Dorr, who is the CEO of WellSaid. Benjamin has, such a unique background. He's been in M&A, investment banking, venture capital, been on the product engineering side, been a COO, CFO, and now CEO. Man, that is a mouthful. Benjamin, welcome.
Thank you, Steve. This is so exciting. So this is my first podcast, and I'm actually really interested to see how this all goes. I've never know behind the scenes. I listen to podcasts all the time, and I've never seen how this goes from behind the scenes. So I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much for having
I'll be really, really nice, but not boring.
Okay. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Benjamin, if you would take our listeners through the journey of your career and what's led you to be the CEO of an AI company.
Sure. So I'm the CEO of WellSaid. WellSaid's a leader in the enterprise AI voice sector. We serve enterprises to help them generate AI voice for use cases as diverse as learning and development, content marketing, product marketing, even advertising. And we're a pioneer in the space. And one of the things about WellSaid that's really interesting is that we've built our business on the foundation of responsible and ethical AI. That's actually sort of where I sort of come from originally. So this going back 30 years, when I was in college, I got really interested in kind of the ethical and legal issues that were kind of coming to the fore with regard to the internet. It was kind of changing everything in terms of how people thought about intellectual property, how they thought about privacy, how those two things kind of come together, right? Like the idea that what information do we exchange to get something for free? What do we pay for, et cetera? And so I got very interested in how the media and entertainment industry was changing, how advertising was changing, marketing, et cetera, in relation to kind of the ethics of computer science. So long story short, I built my career around that. And I entered technology through the internet boom, like probably most people my age. And over the last 20 years, I've kind of had every role in a startup.
Literally.
Everyone. Yeah. I've run product and engineering, marketing, people, finance, operations, combinations of those things, sales and BD, et cetera. And last year, I was looking for my next adventure, and I wanted to find a company that represented my values and was in Seattle. I had moved there about 5 years ago and had not worked for a Seattle-based company and kind of become a part of the Seattle venture ecosystem and tech ecosystem. And I came across WellSaid. And I came across WellSaid in a very interesting sort of situation. I was playing around with AI voice technology to think about a basically imagination product for my daughter. She's about 4 years old. And looking at what was out there. And I tried a bunch of AI voice solutions. And if you ever tried one of these things, you kind of put in some text and you see what it says, right? You get a take. And it's not like the takes that we're doing here. Sometimes you put in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off, like you would do like a rocket adventure. And it goes 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off. It's like very, very sad. And so when I went to WellSaid, I didn't get that. I got like what you're expecting, right? In terms of the type of audio. So like I start doing some research and I find there's an opportunity at this company. And so I reach out to the board, I reach out to the team there. And I came in initially as the chief financial officer and spent the last year kind of learning the ins and outs of the business, the technology, the people, what makes WellSaid great. And while it was always like a possibility, I didn't think it would happen so fast. And the CEO presented an opportunity for like a succession plan for me to become CEO. And so now I've gotten to take all those hats and put them all in one that has probably been the best best sort of integration of my experience in my career. So there's a lot to love in terms of me and my current role and what I'm getting to do because it brings together an entire adventure in my career.
Well, awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And good robot voice that you did there. It reminded me of the old like Lost in Space show, but good robot voice. All right. So tell us more about Well Said.
Sure. Well said is we think about it as the most trusted AI voice in the enterprise. We serve 50% of the Fortune 500 today. What we mean by AI voice is teams are able to take scripts and put them into Well Said and create content that is compelling for employees, customers, whoever their stakeholders are. They're able to edit the pronunciation, the tone, the diction, all of the elements of that on a even like word basis for really true control and creation over AI voice. So when we think about trust, we think about the actual quality, the powerful control and direction, like what you would expect out of working with a voice actor. And then all the elements of responsible AI that matter to enterprises today. It's not just security and compliance, but also the fact that we're not taking business away from voice actors. What we work with every voice on our platform represents a real voice actor who receives a royalty from WellSaid, from the revenue that they help generate. And by doing so, we kind of are thinking about we're creating a larger ecosystem for voice and for audio today than would be otherwise. And so that element of responsible AI from IP protection and working with real people and being able to do security and compliance right, that matters to our customers. We don't train on their data. We are truly a vertically integrated AI voice company for the enterprise.
So, what are some example use cases that companies will use they'll create the text, the document, the messaging, and an AI voice is delivering it?
So a great example, let's say you're a major airline and you need to do pilot training on different instrumentation, right?
Okay.
And so in that situation, you're going to have perhaps presentations related to the equipment that you're dealing with. Perhaps you're going to have scenarios that you want to run people through. Maybe you're going to have video where you want to provide voiceover of different scenarios for pilots. So a good example is for training and development would be that. And we see a lot of those cases in transportation. Goes same case for industrials. We can't like equipment and manufacturing, healthcare, training frontline workers on new drugs and things like that. In fact, that pronunciation becomes one of those critical features that people see with WellSaid that they can't get with other companies in the sense of you got complicated drugs and chemicals and pronunciations. You can't get that stuff wrong. People know what that's supposed to
I
sound like.
I have a really selfish question here.
Okay, very
What
good.
how are you capturing the voice? So the voice
Sure.
actors, what are they doing and what are you recording from them that allows you to AI generate their voice across these different platforms?
Well, that's actually a great segue into like the idea of our platform and the reason why we exist and what we're good at. So when we say we're vertically integrated, we mean that we're vertically integrated over the data sets that we develop ourselves. So all of our AI data sets with our voice actors, we record and we bring into our ML pipeline. We've developed our own model. And so all of that model's trained on all of that data that we've built and licensed from our voice actors. And then the application studio on top of it sits on top of that and is tightly integrated with through our ML pipeline with our model and that data set. So we work with voice actors, we record them, they go through a very specific script that guarantees the type of quality that we want, the control that we want, and very specifically for our core ICP in terms of voices that are not going to suddenly shout crazy things or change tone, etc. You're going to say it right the first time. And then it's about getting takes that best represent what you want your content to sound like. So to your point, data sets created by us, working with voice actors, recorded in great environments, and clean data is the foundation of strong ML models. In fact,
So
yeah,
how do I get like James Earl Jones to overlay my voice in on these podcasts?
yeah. So, the voice actor community is much more diverse than what we would think of as just like the celebrity world. I actually spent a bit of my time in animation. And, if you think about a lot of the folks that have served in the animation world, there's like They're like the tried and true voice actors for animation. And then, like they'll get somebody to come in and be like the celebrity voice for an animated movie or what have you. And what I would say is we're working with like a large portion of voice actors that serve kind of those non-celebrity purposes. I mean, they have careers that sort of border on that, etc. But this is the kind of the tried and true sort of working folks of the voice actor community that work with WellSaid.
Gotcha.
Um,
This hits home to me because for my book, I recently recorded the audiobook of it. And I can't believe how hard that was to do, recording chapter at a time and not screwing up, not slurring, not sneezing, not breathing too heavy, and the editing process that goes into it. I feel like I have like the timing of this as my audiobook's going through the approval process right now. That was quite a chore.
there are AI voice solutions for this. From a narration standpoint, we're seeing one of WellSaid's one of WellSaid's API partners, Everlit, does this across content for news and magazines, and we see those narration elements. And narration is really hard, considering how nervous I am about just saying and whatever else during this thing. I can't imagine what it would mean like recording your book.
It was challenging to say the least. And I know there are AI ones out there, and the feedback I got was they want to hear from the author on that particular type of thing. I can think of more use cases than I can even say where the well said technology would come in. Tell us about some fun projects you guys are working on, some cutting edge stuff.
Absolutely. Well, one of the things that we're most excited about is the next generation of our model, Caruso, which is in beta right now. So as I was talking about, data set model application, Studio on top of this model. And so the next model allows us to generate higher quality voices, but it's also what gives us the ability to get finer tuned controls over everything that people are producing within the platform. And so we're excited to release Caruso uh, this fall in the September time range. Right now, it's in beta. Our customers are using it. We're getting lots of great feedback on the different elements of quality and control that we've released. One of the things that's pretty interesting here too is that we're radically increasing the level of quality of the underlying audio that's being generated. So now we can go all the way up to 96 kilohertz, which allows us to go into kind of broadcast quality with regard to audio. Sometimes you'll see AI voice used in situations where, like I said before, they're more robotic. And at that point, does the quality matter as much? When you're talking about something where whether you're training your employees or you're teaching a customer about how to use their product, or especially customer acquisition on the advertising side and dynamic audio there, that quality really matters. So we're really excited to see the improvement and the curve there. The other thing that's super interesting here is on the cost side. I don't know, a year ago would cost $100 for the underlying technology to generate 30 seconds of audio. Sorry, across like, let's say 1,000 impressions. If you're thinking about the advertising industry, and that's that down to like, let's say $10 to $20 now for 1,000 impressions. We think that that's going to be coming down an order of magnitude again in the next year. And what that means is that dynamic audio, whether it's for advertising or sort of more targeted employee engagement and learning and development, that all becomes possible in a way that wasn't before, just through the improvements in how this sort of overall AI stack for text to speech and AI voice has developed.
Interesting. Well, and I know you wear a lot of hats. You do have a technical background. I got to ask, because this is Software Leaders
Sure.
Uncensored. Tell us a little bit about your engineering team that you got.
Well, we have a fantastic engineering team, and you can think about that. That's led by Chris Johnson, our CPTO. He is a repeat entrepreneur, also ex Microsoft. He is my partner in crime on all things technology. Our development team is broken down in terms of, as I said, that studio side and the ML side. So thinking about folks who help build the applications for content creation, and then the underlying data sets and ML model that power it. And just a fantastic group of folks. We are a hybrid company. We have about half of our company is in the Seattle area, but we are hybrid. Folks come in 2 to 3 times a week. And generally, we don't optimize necessarily for whether they are here or not, because we think that if we strike the right management practices, you're going to succeed whether you're in person, hybrid, or remote. We do sort of prioritize, I think time zone matters, being able to move fast. I talk about winning faster as a team, and that means a really quick cycle, as you might say, of fail fast, right? That element that you think about in your book is really important, right? You need to, it's not about not making mistakes, it's about not making the same mistake twice.
So in the Seattle tech scene, I'm very curious. Certainly big tech right now is being very bolsterous on back in the office 5 days a week. You don't like it, quit. Taking a really bold, harsh stance. In Silicon Valley right now, there's this crazy culture spreading that was adopted from Asian countries called the 996 culture, meaning you're working 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 6 days a week in the office. I think those are brutal.
They are brutal.
I understand from being a CEO, creating culture in a full remote environment can be challenging. Hybrid environments, I think, are the ultimate answer. But, a lot of larger companies are taking this hard stance. Tell me your views and what it's like in the Seattle tech scene.
So, yes, you're absolutely right in terms of what's happening with Amazon and Microsoft and others. And I agree with you that ultimately, probably a hybrid environment is what we need to optimize for. And it allows us, especially in the early stages of a business, to find talent and culture fit from a broader group, right? Like, it's hard to be a small company going up against big ones, and you need to be as good or better, right? So it means that you really need to maximize your focus and your people and everything that you're doing from that environment. I think that saying that you have to build culture in an office versus a hybrid or remote environment is a lack of imagination on the well, it's not just a lack of imagination, it's also perhaps the result of the gravitational pull that a big company has to a city and its environment, etc. We're a moon compared to the planet of Amazon or Microsoft. And I think that we try to reflect in our strategy the lack of gravitational pull from that environment.
Gotcha. I'm with you. I don't know. Maybe when I'm the CEO of a company with a market cap of 4 trillion, I'll take a different tone, but I doubt it. I think you find good people, you create the right environment, and especially software engineers. Software engineers by nature are genius level people that are introverted, and they need their headphones and a quiet place to focus to do their best work. And you know, having them come in the office too much can actually be counterproductive.
I agree with you, and I think that's the case even for a go-to-market team, right? Like, if you're on the phone all the time, like, yes, you can get energy from other people, but other times you want to be able to execute against a sales call in a more private environment. That's why we have the phone booths and everything else. But the one thing I would say is that new product strategy and new product development is very hard to do in a virtual whiteboard environment. Like, I think it's really hard to do on Meet or Zoom or what have you.
I've yet to find a good virtual whiteboard that even compares to physically being together whiteboarding.
That's because, like, think about like just the audio element, right? Speaking of my voice and well said, but the idea of the fact that you get so many cues from the ums and what people say and being able to get someone's attention and how you're interacting in that real world environment. When it comes to brainstorming, I don't know if there's any way that beats in person. And it's why we try to figure out ways to get our team together. It's like, okay, if you're going to work from home, cool. How do we get together when we have to make and work through decisions?
I'm thinking maybe WellSaid and my company Sonatify Technology need to solve that problem, because it's kind of baffling in this age of tech and great tools and advancements of AI that are happening daily that I've still never seen anything really be a good virtual whiteboard.
Yeah, no, it's well, the other one that's up there for me is, like, I still think it's hilarious that we're all sending around different MNDAs. like not a document that we need to worry about when we're doing software sales. Like, can we just log into a platform and everyone just be okay with whatever MNDA that has been determined? So I'm still waiting for that as well.
So, Benjamin, as a AI tech CEO, what are some of the biggest challenges you're facing right now?
So I kind of think about the AI world as you have the big generative guys, the folks that are focused on foundational models around LLM, and you're thinking about the Anthropic and Open AIs of the world. And then you have, let's say, applied AI. And I'm going to put WellSaid in that category as it relates to audio. You're going to see folks like Perplexity or a Cursor. It is an AI native business focused on a specific application. And then you have these AI wrapper companies, and then you have maybe traditional SaaS that's bolting on AI to like as fast as possible. That is fundamentally an AI wrapper.
Mhm. I think that's a great way of explaining it.
There's so much proliferation of the old SaaS guard trying to bolt on AI, as well as AI wrapper businesses, that they are taking up oxygen, I would say, from some of like the core fundamental technology that is built on R&D, has thought about this opportunity from the beginning. And it's one of those things when you're thinking about your go to market and everything else where you're seeing folks come up that are, I don't want to be mean, but maybe parlor tricks versus people who are trying to build a business for enterprises for the long term. And so there's so much that is noisy in AI today that cutting through that is really important.
No doubt. Oftentimes, well, you look at someone's website, you'll see AI mentioned 500 times, but then you start talking to people on how you use an AI. They're like, oh, we're still trying to figure that out. Oh, I do use ChatGPT sometimes. But so I agree, peeling that onion of who's real and, who's truly using it. And it's changing so quickly.
Yeah.
By the time this episode airs, it'll probably stuff will change by then.
Well, I mean, you take all of the news in the last like 24 hours about ChatGPT 5 and the idea of like the news cycle is so fast. The backlash or the backlash to the backlash happens so quickly. It's like, okay, it's still a sycophantic voice. It's not a sycophantic voice. Kids are getting narcissism. Like all of this stuff is happening it's happening at AI speed. It's a lot.
So, Benjamin, as a guy who's played so many different roles and so many different startups, talk about some lessons learned that you've had and things if you could go back and tell your younger self to do different, you would do.
Oh my goodness. So I try to keep a list of these rules. My team knows that they're on my whiteboard behind me. And some of these have been universal across my startups. Some of them I've built up over time. Uh, you know, I'm sure you've heard the idea that time kills all deals and revenue solves most problems. And so I've translated that in terms of winning faster. How do we always figure out a way to win faster? And I think that's actually related to the whole, you got to lose faster too. You
Yes.
got to know when to lose and fail and figure it out and keep going. There is, have you ever watched The Wire?
What show?
Have you ever watched the TV series The Wire?
I've heard of it. I haven't
Okay.
watched it.
Well, there's a line that season 3 of The Wire actually has this whole sort of think about it as product versus distribution and the importance of both sides of the equation.
Now,
And
although
one
that's like a cop show, isn't it?
is, well, in this case, it's actually
I guess the product
related
is
to the drug trade in Baltimore.
okay.
Some personal connection back to Baltimore. My wife's from there. And, one of the main people is very interested in having the best product, and the other person's interested in having the best distribution. And the truth is you need both. But a lot of times folks underestimate how important the distribution side of things are. And so one of the things I always say is that I want my corners as a business. I want to know what category we're great at, what ICP we're going to serve. How does our product specifically solve their value proposition, like problems in their market, and being very specific about why we win, where we win, etc. And so tying product to the best categories and owning those. And so that's really important to me as a business. there were times that I would say that in my past where I've been scattershot, let's say, and you can't be as a startup. You have to be incredibly focused, and it's not about doing all the things. It's about doing fewer things better.
I like it. Now you have, an investment banking M&A background. Maybe throw some education nugouts for founders raising money and what VCs care about and what they don't.
So VC has changed a lot since I did VC. So back in the day, like a Series B was, I don't know, $5 to $10 million, and a Series A was $2 to $3 million. So like I'm dating myself when you're talking about $50 million Series A's or whatever you have these days, and how much has happened in the seed ecosystem. I would say the one thing and the one lesson that's really important to me in terms of partnering with my board and partnering with VCs and being able to translate both from the company to the board, as well as from the board to my management team, is the idea that we have a product at WellSaid. WellSaid's product is to be the most trusted AI voice. VCs have a product too, and their product is returns. It's not our product. It's not us as a company. It's the returns that we produce for them to LPs. And most of the time, goals line up. Those goals line up. And it's my job as CEO to make sure that my goals as a company line up with my VC and board in terms of what their goals are from a return perspective, and making sure there's total alignment there. When alignment gets messed up, that's when bad things start to happen. And then employees are like, hey, like, why are we making these decisions as a company? This seems inconsistent with our principles or values, or this is inconsistent with what I'm hearing from our strategy. And it's usually because there is an inconsistency or misalignment between the business and its investors. And it's really important to have like wonderful alignment at that point.
Great tip. Appreciate it. Benjamin, thank you so much for getting uncensored with us today. Sounds like WellSaid's doing some amazing things, and you've had a fascinating background touching all aspects of business from a lot of different roles. My hat's off to you. Before we wrap, any
Sure.
final advice you have for tech leaders out there who are trying to build, scale, or even just survive in the current times?
Oh my goodness, Steve. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. Focus, 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 focus. It is all about taking all of our information in that you're getting, and you're getting it from all sides, and you're getting random advice from LinkedIn and from your peers and from your board and your investors. It's synthesizing that, focusing, and making sure your team is focused.
Awesome. Great advice, Benjamin. Thank you so much. That's it for this episode of Software Leaders Uncensored. I'm Steve Taplin. If you liked the show, go ahead and hit subscribe. If you didn't like it, well, tell your competitors about it. They could probably use the help. Remember to fail hard, win big, and always build what matters. See you next time. That's a wrap. Another great episode of Software Leaders Uncensored. Thank you guys so much for listening. I really appreciate it. It's a lot of fun doing this show. I love talking with great tech leaders. As a side note, if you're interested, check out my new book, Fail Hard, Win Big. This is the story of how I built 30 companies, failed on 20, and turned 10 into multi-million-dollar wins. The common thread with all of them was custom software. Also, if you need software development help out there, my company, Sonatify Technology, we deliver world-class software development engineers out of Latin America. We have a solid track record of helping companies launch better products and faster. Thanks again for listening. Appreciate it and appreciate you.